Spyder's back!
Spyder, Spyder, here comes Spyder, CFL's red zone.
Hit it! In the red zone. There you go, that's pretty close for hitting it. How you doing? I'm back because I didn't cover everything in the first session. I was going to tell you that I was going to do 2 sessions on this, but back and more in the Grey Cup, okay? The 108th Grey Cup in Hamilton, okay? And the Hamilton Tiger Cats have not won the Grey Cup in 22 years, okay? So I'm featuring the Winnipeg Blue Bombers against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which is a rematch, by the way, from 2019. And I was there live with my son. Keith Urban played at halftime. I was there. I witnessed it. And there was a Winnipeg Blue Bomber fan there, having changed from his shorts to pants in 29 years. They haven't they haven't won a Grey Cup at that point. And he changed from his shorts right. He was amongst the Winnipeg Blue Bomber players at center field, and he did it. He was there. I saw it on the big screen. Imagine wearing shorts for 29 years. That was a drug, right? Winnipeg Blue Bombers have not won at that point up to 2019, and they went through on the road to do it. Okay, in Calgary and in Saskatchewan, like Hamilton did. No, Hamilton was at home against Montreal, but anyway, it was a lot tougher for Winnipeg, I'll tell you. Stretler, no, Paul Apolice is going after him as a starter. I like to see that, I hope he could pull that off with the Ottawa Redblacks. Good luck to that, okay? But anyway, so it's a rematch, right? It's a rematch. Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they got you featured there, okay, in front of the monitor there, and it makes history in a way, and there's only been, I think, 4 teams ever win a Grey Cup at home. I believe that's the number. Close anyway. And anyway, Hamilton Tigers have not won a Grey Cup in 22 years. So here's a shout out to them. Good luck, Tiger Cats and Bob Young, because I like Bob Young. I like the Tiger Cat uniforms a lot too. I always did. And I was to Ivor Wynn Stadium one time. I'll tell you a story. And I was and I had the GO train. You had to take a bus down to get it into Toronto, and the game went into overtime, and it would have been over $100 or more for a cab down. And this couple from Hamilton, they were amazing beside me. They drove me down to the go-kart. They did. They're amazing people there. So anyway, good luck, Hamilton. Hope you have a great Cup. You get some good people there, but you didn't look very good in the Argonaut game, fighting and with what you did to the Argonaut players and provoking them like that, and then walking up to innocent Argonaut, fans just going out and punching them in the mouth and kicking them in the head and all that. That's just unbelievable. Puts a black. Gives Hamilton a black mark here and a bad name. Really, it does. So a few spoil it for, and it was more than a few, by the way. Spoil it for the image of now. I really think of the Grey Cup in Hamilton, and it's being covered up and pushed underneath the rug. But it's really bad. I hope they get images of those people, and I hope they're arrested. Those Tiger Cat fans that beat up those Argonaut fans and fought with the Argonaut players and threw debris on them and everything else, and cursing and swearing at them and using profanity and all that. I saw it all on. So, those people that did all this, they ruined it for the image of the Tiger Cat, Grey Cup, 108th Grey Cup. But what I found when I was there, I think the majority of Tiger Cat fans, they're not like that. So that's what I'm saying. It always takes a few to ruin it, to ruin it. They shouldn't never allow those Tiger ever into another CFL game or a Tiger game ever game. Okay, what they did was terrible, and I'm sure the Argonaut players are taking all the rap. But what I saw, no, it wasn't like that at all. They were being abused. Anyway, here's a shout out for Tiger Cat, the good Tiger Cat fans, and there's a lot more good than bad. Okay. and Bob Young's a great guy, and I hope the Tiger Cats do well, because I like to see them, I tell you the truth, win the win the Grey Cup in their own backyard. Here we go. See if we can get this for fun. Here we go. Ah, come on. Friggin' Apple software. Garbage. Isn't that cool?
Did I do it right?
Here we go.
That's it. That's all you gotta do.
Isn't that cool? Give him one more shot at it. No. It's not so good. I give it once, that's enough for him. Anyway, I thought that was weird. Anyway, I'm back. I'm a little slow right now, but that stuff's hard to do. Put that up. Especially with Apple software. You know, the software I liked was BlackBerry. They play with best in the tablet ever. Just so solid. It was their own software too. I just want to get those emails. I'll talk to you as I'm getting into the emails. I want Mr. Vanstone. I said I was going to do it last time, but I didn't have enough time. That's why I'm doing this session. I'm going to do it a lot slower because I was trying to get everything in. But I'll tell you right now, my CFL Red Zone rules got to be exposed. I got to find a way to get this out. I mean, I got to find a way to do it. I'm going to have to really work on this. This is this comment by this fan on YouTube, of mine. It was Mark McPhee, Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. This was the video he watched to make CFL 3-down football way more entertaining and way more exciting. And Mr. Mark McPhee, thank you very much for this comment. Great channel, he says. Keep making great content. Isn't that kind of him? Thank you, Mark. That's amazing. It gives me inspiration, really. He said, have you checked out, it's called Promoism or something. I don't know the correct pronunciation of it. It looks like Promosm. Promosm? Prosm? Promosm. Something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. You should use it, he says, to grow your channel. Well, you know, I checked into that, but that's like, I think it's like 44 US a month, and that's what it was a couple of years ago, so it's probably like more than that now. So yeah, I know what you're saying. That's what they're doing to get, I know they're doing that to get, you know, I know they are. That's what they're doing. Okay, and to get more people finding their videos, right? That's what's happening. I'm trying to find this. Okay, where is this? Anyway, I sent an email to Mr. Vanstone, the leader roast. I'm sorry, the leader post. You know, he's a writer for the Saskatchewan Rough Riders and sports and the Leader Post in Regina, and he's a legend and an icon. He wrote, you know, the famous book on the Grey Cup, one of the greatest Grey Cups ever played, 1989. Okay, in the Sky Dome, first Grey Cup ever at the Sky Dome. Saskatchewan Rough Riders and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The score was 43-40. In the last play of the game, the Saskatchewan Rough Riders kicked the field goal and won it. It's unbelievable. But here's what I said to him. I said, Mr. Vanstone, if you are watching the Argonauts, Tiger Cats, Eastern Final, first drive of the Argonauts stopped on the 1-yard line in the red zone on second down, and they refused to go for it on third down and kick another non-eventful, predictable, distasteful, boring, easy chip shot field goal. Then the Argonauts' second drive, they are stopped in the red zone again on second down, basically playing two-down football, and they won't go for it in third down, again in the red zone, and kick another non-eventful, predictable, distasteful, boring, 10-yard easy chip shot field goal. And I say, Mr. Vanstone, how does this sell CFL 3-down football? Well, I say it doesn't. And is exactly why my naturally tailor-made for CFL 3-down football proposed new, super exciting Spyder CFL Red Zone rule, enforcement rule, is unquestionably needed in our CFL 3-down game of football. That will unequivocally make our CFL 3-down game of football a lot more appealing and make it a lot more innovative and full of drama and not only offensively but defensively as well in the red zone, and make our CFL 3-down game of football a lot more entertaining and a lot more exciting brand of CFL 3-down football to watch and be part of. I screwed up that word. I can always pronounce it. I don't know. I just have struggled with it today. Unequivocally. I'm still struggling with it, and I always can pronounce. Isn't that sometimes how weird that is? I mean, I did my presentation many times, read it off, and I said that word, but sometimes you get a tongue twister, and it's just, I don't know what it is, but it's really weird. But anyway, here's what he wrote back. Sorry about that. Unequivocally. Unequivocally. That's it. Okay, here's what he said. He says, this is from Mr. Vanstone, okay, Mr. Vanstone. Okay, he wrote back to me, he said, Spyder, he says, those Toronto field goals make your case better than anything I've ever seen to this point. Spyder, good luck. You have better ammo than ever. Cheers, Mr. Vanstone, Rob Vanstone. Isn't that fantastic? And then I sent it back to him, an email, and I said, thanks a lot, Mr. Vanstone. You give me hope and inspiration to my dream, okay? To have my dream come to fruition that I worked on, as you know, really hard to make a case for it, okay? That should be adopted by the CFL, basically what I'm saying. I say thanks a lot, Mr. Vanstone, because this statement coming from you, who I really respect and admire the most in current industry, and of course I really, really admire Steve Armitage, who gave it also a stamp of approval, and I say it really puts a stamp of approval, he does actually, Mr. Vanstone too, on the legitimacy and true value of my proposed new CFL Red Zone rule. So isn't that awesome? That's just awesome. Really and truly. He also sent another one back to me, and he said to me, Mr. Vanstone said, it's the perfect script. Like, it said they couldn't have wrote a better script for my CFL Red Zone rule to be adopted. That's what he said. It's just crazy, you know, getting two from him. I was just blown away by him saying that. Here's what he says. Thanks, Spyder. Okay, when I sent that one back to him, there are so many examples from 2021 that will help your case. He's talking about my CFL Red Zone rule, you know, being made part of a CFL 3-down game of football. He says, it was like the CFL scripted for you. Cheers, Rob. Isn't that something? Isn't that fantastic? I know I spent a fair amount of time on that, but I wanted to, because that's just such hot stuff. And I'm going to use that email to my advantage. I got to get this to CFL owners. I got to get it to CFL owners. The owner of the Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, the new owner of the Alouettes, okay, all the owners in the CFL, and the new owner of the BC Lions, all of them have to know about my CFL Red Zone rule. And all the fans, I mean, I'm talking about respectful CFL fans, not bashers, knockers. They're not even CFL fans. They just go on sites. They don't even buy a ticket to a game. They're just, all they do is bully people, you know. It's the younger generation sports fan out there. That's the mass market. That's all. Because look at the attendance in the CFL. It was embarrassing. I mean, it was the worst I've ever seen. They can say it's a pandemic, whatever. The mandates on the China virus shots, whatever. You have to have two. But anyway, the problem is the CFL is losing more and more popularity in our CFL 3-down game. Okay, there's no doubt about it. And the fans that they have are getting older, and a lot of them are getting really pissed off and walking away too, and watching only NFL football. A lot of them complain about the Canadian ratio. They complain about all the boring field goals for too many points in the CFL, and magnified in the red zone, easy chip shot field goals and a lot of cases, a lot of field goals, and a lot of them in the red zone being stopped in second down, and won't go for third down to score touchdowns in the red zone, resulting in more boring, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goals for most of the points in the CFL game. That's the problem. That's what's turning people off. They're turning off. They're not going to CFL games. They're watching NFL football. Like, basically, we're selling NFL football in Canada for them, for what's going on in the CFL. And the CFL definitely need to make changes, and I had a really good session on that. The 5 or 6 most important changes they have to make, and you know, I went over all of them. And the 1-year contracts, I went over that. That was one of them, and it's brutal. And it's Calgary Stampeders got 45. Ottawa's got 35. Calgary Stampeders got 45. So there's going to be a lot of teams, because the Edmonton Eskimos, one of the owners on the board, I'm trying to get I got my CFL Red Zone mobile, hopefully I try to get it through their comments, you know, info, email, whatever. I mean, you can't sell an email direct anymore. It's unbelievable. But anyway, he said there's 80%, more than 80% of all CFL players free agents. How can you sell CFL 3-down football to anybody to buy a season ticket, or sell a jersey, or anybody, even to go to the game with that kind of turnover? 45 Calgary Stampeders. So there's 35, 45. There may even be more than 45. It's unbelievable. Over 80% of all the CFL, all free agents, and quarterbacks too. They're not exempt. It's brutal. Like, it's unbelievable. So my CFL Red Zone rule is needed big time. Okay, and it will make our CFL 3-down game instantly so much more appealing, so much more attractive, so much more entertaining to watch. Just like night and day. It's not, you know, it would be a blockbuster, and it's out of the 6 major changes, that's the biggest one. Okay, the Canadian ratio. Listen, I am not against Canadian players. That's another one that needs to be, like, you know, half the Canadian roster is going to be Canadian. That's got to be dramatically reduced. And the starting ratio at 7, which, by the way, it's actually 10 for nationals, the Canadian players to start. That's got to be reduced dramatically as well, down to 4 or 3, or eliminated completely. It should be eliminated completely. But I'm not against a Canadian player playing in the CFL. I want to see top Canadian players playing in the CFL and not the NFL, personally. But how does it help the CFL when you have a Canadian ratio that's not even obtainable or reachable to ever fill? Okay, half a roster, and then 10 or top, you know, Canadian guaranteed starters with backups. Come on, you know, get with the program. But I want to see the best Canadian players, but only ones that are good enough to make a team. They have to make the team, like the American players have to, and they make a starting spot. Okay, and ones that want to play in the CFL and not the NFL. Now that quarterback, okay, for Waterloo, that Ford guy, Lee Ford, well, that guy looks like he could be a CFL quarterback. Really be another. I mean, the way he can run and move and throw. I mean, I'd love to see another Russ Jackson. And by the way, I got to get Russ Jackson my CFL Red Zone role. He was on my ski team when I was with Pentex, and I went with AGFA in Martok here. I got to know him. He's got to know about my CFL Red Zone role. I got to get, like Steve Armitage, I got to get more people like him on board in my CFL Red Zone role, and that have clout like Steve Armitage has. But people got to know that Steve Armitage has endorsed my CFL Red Zone role. But getting back to Canadian players, I want to see as many Canadian players that deserve to earn, not deserve. Well, deserve it, but they have to earn it. Then they deserve to make a roster, not by given a roster spot or make up a half a CFL team roster because of the Canadian ratio, because of their passport. They don't even really have to make the team. They're just filling numbers to fill the Canadian ratio. Can you imagine? You know, how can you compete in the professional sports world today? Okay, you can't. There's no other professional sports league that has this ridiculous old school Canadian ratio, handcuffing, dictating. It's just unbelievable. It's crazy. They got to get rid of it. It's got to go. You got to allow the best available players to start and play at every position in the CFL, just like the NFL does, the NHL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, and yes, MLS Soccer, who have, I think, in the Canadian MLS Soccer franchises, they have a 3 roster ratio for Canadian players, but they don't have to start them, not forced to start them. They're not that foolish. If they had a Canadian, half the team had to be Canadian, they had to start 7 they'd be out of business. And that's what's happening with the CFL. You need to get rid of the Canadian ratio. Yeah, the best Canadian players that aren't going to go to the the NFL to make and stick in the NFL because they do, or the roster spot because they make so much money now. They're going to have to make the team. The ones that don't make it in the NFL are going to have to make a CFL team. And they'll be a lot more respected. And they're going to have to make a starting spot. Not with a Canadian ratio because of Canadian passport. No, it's got to go. It doesn't sell CFL 3-down football. No intelligent sports fan, and the majority of sports fans that the CFL need, the mass market, is a younger generation sports fan, and they know sports. They don't want, they don't, I surveyed them. They don't like the Canadian, and that's one reason they don't watch it. Okay? And because of, like I explained, all the field goals and all the, even worse in the red zone, these non-eventful easy chip shot field goals, that's how I come up with my rule. Too much kicking, too many field goals, too many 2-and-outs, too many easy chip shot field goals in the red zone, and too many field goals overall for too many points in the CFL game. Boring, boring. They don't want it. They don't want to see it. They want it gone. My CFL red zone rule, it will eliminate it. It will be gone. It's unbelievable. I mean, then you get rid of the Canadian ratio. Okay, the best Canadian players, the best American players then will play in the CFL. The best Canadian players, and it's just like, you think the Rafters or the Leafs, I mean, if there wasn't one Canadian player on the team, you think they would have an empty seats and no one would go to the game? Give me a break. They want to see the best players playing the CFL, okay? It's about the brand, the name of the team. And by the way, another thing, getting back to the Bombers and the Saskatchewan Roughriders Western Final, that really turned me off. Andrew Harris, okay, when he was going like this to the crowd to get the crowd going after a run, and he pointed to his name. It's not about you, Andrew Harris, about your name. It's about the Winnipeg Blue Bar brand and their team. It's a team game. It's not about you. And that's another reason that there's something fishy about him. And the way he's, how can you not tire out in that cold? He hasn't played for a long time, actually, for quite, I think, 6 games or so, like, so a month and a half or something. And like, he has super energy, well, because he's still juiced up, that's why. And they don't think, and he's got protection for the CFL. He was protected last time when he was caught, you know? It's unbelievable. But I just want to go over some numbers too. I said I would go over some numbers, okay, on that 51 average percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone. Now, can you imagine? That's another reason. Just like Mr. Vanstone said, they wrote the script for you. You never see so many examples in the 2021 when my Spyder CFL red zone rule, now proposed Spyder CFL red zone rule that's being presented to the Innovation CFL's Rules Committee for 2022 now. He said he'd never seen so many examples. It's like the script was written that my CFL red zone rule now, he's basically saying he got a stamp of approval. It's there on a platter. It needs to be adopted. It's earned. You know, it's made its case. That's what he's saying. Thank you, Mr. Vanstone. But getting back to my numbers, 51%. That's all it was. Dropped 3 points, by the way. Well, actually, it dropped 7. Sorry, but from the average, because that was a one-off. So from 2017, 2018, from 54.8 down to 51. That's like 3 points. Anyway, so you know, like I was talking about when it was 2017, the average was 54.8. 2018, 54.7. Basically, 50 more touchdowns for a total of 200 more points. Okay, that's an 18% guarantee, right? And that worked out to about 65% from 54.8. Yeah, 64.9. It's rounded off 65%. Imagine that, 65% of, imagine, percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams with a guaranteed of 18%. So I worked the number on the 51, which it was this year. It dropped 3, so it went to 51 from that average of 2017 of 54.8. So I took that 51. That's what it is this year, which is terrible. That's basically almost 50%. So you take that 51% of average touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams. Okay, and I worked my formula, and by the way, it's not easy math, and I was pretty good in math. My brother was actually a genius. He's a genius in math, seriously, and I'm not fibbing. He's a mathematical genius. He is. Anyway, so basically at 51%, okay, with that it would work out to about 16.8% guaranteed of touchdowns scored in the red zone with my Spyder Super Red Zone rule, okay? Because then basically you'd be using the third down based on that average, okay, of 51. They'd be going for it on the third down, okay, to score touchdowns. So based on that average, okay, it would mean they would get 16.8% more touchdowns scored in the red zone. That would work out to about 46 more like touchdowns versus the 50. On the 54.8% of the average percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst nine CFL teams, which would guarantee that 18%. So there's some tough math for you. I know one person said too many numbers, Spyder, but I wanted to go over that, and I won't go over numbers anymore, but you can get all these information and how I come up with all these numbers on my Spyder CFL Red Zone Facebook page. And you know, my presentation did over the radio for the commissioner of the CFL. Okay, that's there back in 2018, and then the revisit one. And, the numbers in the first one I did over the phone. All the numbers are there. Basically, what I was just going over on that 54.8 on the numbers. And now I have my new presentation that's being presented to the CFO Innovation Rules Committee up at the Facebook page, okay, in 2022. So check it out on Spyder CFO Red Zone Rule Facebook page. Take care. All the best. Have a good Grey Cup.